If you are new here, you are probably used to seeing Natalie Frank host. So I'll introduce myself since this is a new face around here. Hi, everyone. I'm Kate Masters. I'm the Community Development Manager at HoneyBook and Rising Tide. And like I mentioned, I'm filling in for Natalie while she's on maternity leave. And to start off, I just want to give you a very warm welcome to Global Virtual Tuesdays Together. For those of you who are new here, Rising Tide is a community of small business owners, independent freelancers, service providers, creative entrepreneurs who unite in the spirit of community over competition. And what that looks like for us, we have hundreds of local chapters who are led by extraordinary volunteers. We have a Facebook group of over 70,000 community members. Shout out to our amazing volunteer moderators who run that space for us. And we're releasing educational resources almost daily, including blog posts, webinars, templates, monthly downloadable guides, and so much more, completely free for our community. Rising Tide believes an empowered creative economy will change the world. And by elevating the voices of independent small business owners, sharing their stories, and building a thriving community, we can support you in your pursuit of a sustainable livelihood. And if you've never joined before, last year when coronavirus shut down our in-person meetings, we decided to take our monthly meetups online, and with an overwhelmingly positive response, we've continued to do it again and again to provide accessible education through this event every single month. And today, I'm very excited for this topic and for our guest expert. We're talking about something that was very newsworthy recently when Facebook and Instagram went down for nearly a day. So yes, we are covering email marketing and specifically 3 consumer trends you should take advantage of for better email marketing. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce our amazing guest expert today, Sabrina Crawford, who is the head of marketing at Flowdesk, where she helps people discover and love the intuitive email marketing platform for creative small business owners. We are dear friends of Flowdesk. We love them so much. And an entrepreneur at heart, Sabrina is also the founder of Quiet Like Horses, a content strategy business, the creator of Blog Better, an online course helping entrepreneurs write better content fast, and a co-founder of Made by Salt and Light, a brand for best friends and an Amazon FBA business, as if you're not busy enough already. Really a multi-passionate entrepreneur. So I'm going to let Sabrina take it from here, but I will say, since this is a keynote talk, if you have questions during Sabrina's talk, please use the little Q&A area. You should see it at the bottom of your screen to submit questions, and we'll be saving time at the end and try to get to as many as we can. So I'm going to go ahead and mute myself and let Sabrina take it from here.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining, and thanks for that intro, Kate. We are huge fans of Rising Tide and HoneyBook and the whole community at Flowdesk, so it's a tremendous honor to be here. I am going to share my screen now. Can you see my screen? Okay, great.
Yeah, you're good.
So I can't see the chat, so hopefully that's okay, but Kate will let me know if I missed anything. Okay, great. So thank you for taking this time, everybody, today, this morning, this afternoon, wherever you are. We're going to talk about 3 consumer trends that are happening in the landscape that you should be aware of. And we're going to dive into them more to understand them better. And then we're going to get into strategies and tactics that you can use based on these trends to do better email marketing to help you grow your business. We're right on the cusp of our biggest sales period ever for a lot of us in Q4 with the holidays coming up, Black Friday and Cyber Monday. So I just want everyone to pat themselves on the back for taking this time for yourselves and your business. So to jump in, the first trend is that people are craving connection. And this isn't news to any of us, right? For the past year and a half, we've been more isolated and locked down. And so this is probably true for a lot of us. But something that I found really interesting is that we're actually hardwired to crave connection. So according to an MIT study, we crave interactions in the same region of our brains as we crave food. So if you've ever craved, Cool Ranch Doritos or whatever, like weird cravings you might have, or your favorite food, it doesn't really go away, right? It like sticks with you. It's like this thirst you have to quench. And that's the same with wanting to connect with people. And we actually see a third of Gen Z respondents said that they plan to interact with people more than they did before the pandemic. So it's just trending more and more that we're wanting more and more connection. So a way that people have been connecting, it's been convenient, it's been a popular way, but especially in the pandemic where we are trying to social distance and everything, is through social media. And so how many of you, drop it in the chat if you were impacted at all by the Facebook and Instagram going down a couple weeks ago. And so, a lot of us were, right? And the internet exploded with these really wonderful memes, like the Squid Game meme of Twitter winning the honeycomb game. You had to have seen Squid Game to kind of get this reference, but if you haven't, watch it. It's on Netflix. It's amazing. And then also personally, my text messages were exploding with, like messages like this Facebook, Instagram outage is wild. I have nothing to check on between tasks. People didn't really know what to do with themselves, right? They're craving connection. They want to connect, and the channels that they typically rely on, were cut off. And so it's like, we're kind of like feeling like more isolated again. We don't know what our friends are doing, what our favorite influencers and shops and brands are doing, and it just leads to more isolation. So what can we do with this? We know people are craving connection, they're wanting to connect, and the channels that we often go to, social media, sometimes aren't reliable, right? They can go down. And so what I want you to do about this is really to own your shiz. And what I mean by that is really focusing on your email marketing. And so I'm going to let my CEO, Martha Batar, kind of speak to why focus on your email marketing, because I saw someone had asked this question on our Instagram and she had this brilliant response for it. So I'm just going to share her words here. But someone asked, how is everyone going to know it won't go down, just like what happened to the social media platforms? Or if in the future, the entire internet were to go down? And she says, the beauty of owning your list is that it's yours regardless of the platform. If the whole internet disappears, I have no answer for that. It would be a weird time for sure, which just made me laugh because that would be really weird and I never thought about that. But this is true, right? You own your list. You can reach your audience. You can take it wherever you go if you change providers and you're not relying on someone else's platforms or properties to connect with your audience. So I want to show you a couple of examples of what it looks like when you own your email marketing, when you own your audience. The first one is from a FLOTUS member, Brittany Hennessy of Carbon August. And the day Instagram, Facebook went down, she sent out this email with this great subject line. So Instagram has been down all day. And then she uses the preview text, which is that lighter gray text next to the subject line, which we always recommend people use. Are you freaking out or booked and busy? So immediately, I'm thinking about the Instagram being shut down, and this gets my attention. So when you click into her email, she's got this GIF of a dumpster fire, which is really attention grabbing. And she says, have you been freaking out all day, or are you unbothered because you're working on your blog, sending out your newsletter and making money? My influencer business plan students were doing the latter. So this is a really amazing example because she has been focused on building her list so that when social media goes down, it's no problem. She gets her message out. She's able to use this really relevant, timely message that she teaches in her course, and she's able to make that connection for her audience and kind of talk about and promote her course, which helps her business as well. The second example is from Joelle Elizabeth, and her subject line was, since Instagram is down, here's your 411. And she says, while Facebook is going through another midlife crisis, I figured I'd send over all the fun things I was planning on sharing on Instagram today. My sister and I were texting and she said, it's a good thing you have your email list. And I realized, yeah, it really is. Y'all are awesome and I have a lot to share. And so at the bottom of the email, she actually puts the Instagram post she was going to share that day and the caption, which is really motivational and inspirational. If you follow Joelle, it's a lot of her content. So she's able to reach her audience and inspire them and motivate them. And then she also is sharing a new kind of feature, Marketing Monday, where she shares educational resources. So it's no problem for Joelle either. So people are looking to connect, they're feeling isolated, they can't go on Instagram, and Joelle and Brittany are able to cut through that. They're able to send out the email and connect with their audience anyway. And that's the really amazing thing about email marketing. So 2 best practices that I want to encourage you to do are just keep focusing on building your email list. It's okay if you're starting from a very small list, if you're starting from 0, or if you have a big list, keep it going. Right here, we have a Flowdesk full page form, which you don't even need a website to have. So if you don't have a website, this is a great option for you. Or if you do have a website, it's still a great option. Basically, you would create this form in Flowdesk and we host it for you. So it creates a unique URL that you can use in your social media bios, on Instagram, on TikTok, to keep promoting your email list and growing that. And I want to encourage you, if you do have this in your social media bios, to really promote it, to keep creating content to grow your list and remind people the value of this to join. So it's not enough just to post a link somewhere and just kind of forget about it, but keep talking about it and promoting it. The second best practice is to add a pop-up form and an inline form on your website. And this is because we know people are on your website because they're interested enough to kind of check you out and see what you have to offer. The beauty about having a form is that you're able to leverage their interest and capture their emails. So even if it's not quite the right time for them to convert to a client at that moment, you can capture their email and reach them again and again, even after they've left your website. Otherwise, people might be going to your website, they're leaving because they get distracted, there's spaghetti cooking on the stove, and you never know, you never can talk to them again. So capture those email addresses, you can keep that connection going. Okay, the second trend is that people want more privacy. So Apple released iOS 15 late last month in September. And they're releasing updates all the time, but one really interesting thing about this update was the mail privacy protection update. So it affects Apple Mail users. Drop it in the comments if you use Apple Mail to check your emails, or whichever app you use to check your emails. I'm just curious. I'm gonna go back and look at this later. Okay, but basically what mail privacy protection does is it includes the option for users to block the tracking of their email opens in the Apple Mail app. So I'm going to say that again, but if users are using the Apple Mail app, they can choose to hide their IP address and privately load all remote content. And basically what that means is that if I'm an Apple Mail app user and I enable mail privacy protection, Apple is loading all of the emails I get remotely, and they're opening them regardless of if I open them or not. And it's going to show up for the person who sent the email as an open. So this is going to happen regardless of if you use Flowdesk, MailChimp, ConvertKit, Constant Contact, it's going to show up as an open. What this means is that it's inflating your open rate. So your open rate is not going to be as accurate of a metric as it was before. It's always going to be slightly higher now from the people who are opting into mail privacy protection. So I hope that makes sense. I can answer more questions about that in the Q&A. But we believe, at Flowdesk, we believe this is another positive step towards giving everyone more control over their data. We think privacy is a great thing to strive more and more towards. And it's really just reshaping what it means to be a small business. So if we're less focused on just getting more opens, which sometimes I see people doing kind of clickbaity subject lines, right? Trying to just get as many opens as possible, that's kind of going to go away because it's less of an important metric. It's not as reliable anymore. So what we want you to do really is to focus on building real engagement and serving your customers. And that's kind of what we think email marketing should really be focused on moving forward. So how can you start to focus on that, on really serving your customers well? Tip number one is to give subscribers what they want. So one really awesome feature that we just introduced is that you don't have to guess anymore. You don't have to wonder, like, are they going to like blog recap roundups, or are they going to like my sales emails more? You can just ask them. And so we released this new feature called preferences. And so basically they're checkboxes on your Flowdesk forms that you can add, and you can ask them, what do you want to hear about? And you can edit the checkboxes to be whatever kinds of content you offer, and find out from the very start of when they subscribe and get on your list what they want to hear about. So, if you are a wedding photographer, the lifespan of your customer can kind of change. So, they're getting married once, and then maybe they don't need a wedding photographer anymore, but maybe they need a newborn photographer, let's say. So preferences can change over time, right? And so that's why we have this preferences page, so that throughout your relationship with your subscribers, you can be finding out what they want to hear from you, and you can encourage them in any email they get from you to just go down to the bottom into the footer. And now instead of just saying unsubscribe, it says unsubscribe or manage preferences. And when they click that, they get to the preferences page, and you can ask them again, what do you want to hear about? So it might change over time, and they're always able to tell you in real time what they want to hear about. So these are all tied to segments, which are a component in the Flowdesk system. But it makes it really easy for you to send your emails to the right segments, or to the right people who want to hear about different content. Tip number two is to include at least one link in every single email. So if we're saying that email opens are becoming less reliable as a metric to gauge your email success, include a link, include a CTA, so that you can start tracking your click-through rates for your emails. And we recommend that you start to create a baseline or an average of all of your emails click-through rates, so that you can start to understand what an average click-through rate for you is. So if you have an average click-through rate of 2% and an email you sent gets 4%, then okay, people are really resonating with this content because they're clicking through twice as much. And so that's kind of a hint for you, like, to create more of that kind of content. Tip number three is to track email quality score. This one gets a little bit more technical, but it's a great metric to track. And I'm going to talk a bit more about it, but basically it's how many people are annoyed by your message versus actually enjoy receiving them. And so to calculate it, I'm not a math person, so don't be afraid by this equation. We're just going to go through a really simple example to show you what this is. But basically, unsubscribes are anyone who's clicked unsubscribe. You can find that in your Flowdesk metrics. And then responders is anyone who responded by clicking. So they either clicked unsubscribe or they clicked another link within your email. It's the sum of those two things. So if we look at this example, let's say you sent out an email and you had 1 unsubscribe and 9 unique clicks. The sum of that is 10 responders. So if we plug that into the equation, you're going to do 1 minus 1 unsubscribe over 10 responders and multiply that by 100. And you'll see that 90% of people enjoyed your email. That's a great number. And so you might be thinking, how is this different than click-through rate, right? Because click-through rate is how many people are clicking through in your email. Let's say you have a 5% click-through rate. You might be wondering, well, is that good or is that bad? And if you're tracking your baseline or your average, like we were talking about, and you know that your average click-through rate is 2, then this would be a great click-through rate. But email quality score takes it a step further by putting clicks relative to unsubscribes, so that it just adds more dimension and perspective to how this email performed. So this is totally optional, but just something that helps you gauge how your email content's performing. Okay, and then tip 4 is just to keep showing up. And you might think, okay, well, now my email open metric is isn't great anymore. I can't rely on it. I'm just not going to email anymore. But people are still going to be opening your email, whether they subscribe to mail privacy protection or not. They're still going to be clicking through. People still need what you have to offer. So keep showing up. And just remember that people buy from people they know, like, and trust. And so if you don't show up, they're not going to get to know you. They're not going to get to know how wonderful your services are and how much they need you in their lives. So don't be deterred and just keep showing up. Okay, trend number 3 is that shoppers are becoming savvier. And one thing that's happening is that they want to become more and more informed. So 73% of consumers say they're more likely to purchase a product or service if they can watch a video explaining it beforehand. That's a really high number. 42% of online shoppers want more testimonials from e-commerce sites. They want to know how other people like them are enjoying your product or service. And 63% of consumers said they think more positively of a brand if it gave them content that was more valuable, interesting, or relevant. So I love these 3 stats because I often hear from members that they don't want to email people too much. They don't want to bother people. They feel like they're spamming them. But guess what? Your customers want to hear from you. They want to be informed. They want to understand more about your product. They want to see it in action. They want to hear content from you that's valuable, interesting, or relevant. So this is really great news. Like, people want to hear from you. So don't feel so shy. Don't feel like you're bothering anyone, because you're not. They want this content. And so what can you do about this, right? They want to be informed. So use email to inform them. Start sending your educational emails before your holiday sales emails. So, we're about a month or so away from Black Friday, Cyber Monday. Now is the time to start sending educational emails about who you are, how you've helped people, success stories, before you start making the ask of buy from me, right? So before they buy from you, they need to understand who you are and why you're so wonderful. And so this is the time to start educating and informing, which we know that people want. So that is my encouragement for all of you. And just a couple ways you can do this in Flowdesk. If you've never seen the Flowdesk builder, this is what it looks like. This is our email builder, and you can just choose from different options in here. And so going back to that stat, people want to see video of how your products work. So we make that really easy. If you do have a video, you can just click on this element, and it's going to include this video block. And so just a heads up that you cannot insert a video into any email on any email provider. Just email doesn't work that way, but we make it really easy if you have a video on YouTube or Vimeo to upload the link here and then include a title and this play button, so people know if they click that, they're going to be pushed to that site to watch your video very easily. So that's one way to share and inform more about your product or service or who you are. Another way is through our layouts blocks. And so these are all layouts, and basically they're text and they're images that really can grab attention and share your message. So how you would add a layout block is just hovering over the plus sign wherever you want to insert a new block. And then the elements appear. You would choose layouts here. And then in the right-hand column, you would just scroll through all of our different layouts. You would pick one and it would populate in the email builder. So you could update the photo, change up the text, and really stylize this to match your brand. And so this is great for if you have a blog post or a podcast interview you've done and you want to link to it to share that interesting, relevant educational content with your audience. Okay, the other thing that audiences are, what your customers are feeling is convenience, right? And so Google tells us that now near me searches have grown 100% year over year. What does that mean? Why are people searching for now near me? They are looking for stores that are near them, right? They want to go into store. And why are people looking for physical stores to go into? It's 3 things. Google says it's convenience. They want to stop by a store really quick on their way home from work or the store. They want to experience it, or they want to try the product. So they want to feel it in their hands. They want to see how it works. They want to, maybe experience your brand even. And so what to do about that is include options that make it convenient in your emails. So if you have a brick and mortar shop or a local shop, you're a local cake shop or a florist or something like that, include options in your emails for curbside drop-off or free local delivery. Going back to the experience and the trial aspects that consumers are looking for, remind them of shop hours or special events. Encourage them to visit you. If your product is carried at a certain boutique, let them know, like, hey, go visit, Green Tree Boutique on 4th Avenue, because you can feel the pages of the book, see how high quality this is for your next present. And then the last trend I want to talk about with consumers being more savvy is that 59% of all sessions on e-commerce sites are happening on mobile. So we know that this is a trend that's not going away. We're more and more connected to the hip or the hand, to our phones than ever. And so this is just a trend that just keeps becoming more and more pervasive. So what to do about it is really designing your emails for mobile. So we know people are really looking at their phones for their email messages. And so a couple of best practices are to use shorter copy. If they're looking at a smaller screen, you don't want a headline that's 5 or 6 lines that's going to wrap around and take up the whole screen, right? So you want your message to be shorter and quicker so they can absorb it more fast on a phone. Mix images with text to keep it interesting. Send a test to yourself as well. And then open it up on your phone so that you're experiencing it like you would your customer, and make sure that everything looks correct and is in its place and all the links work. So just making sure to experience that on your phone. And then also using a mobile optimized platform. So whichever platform you use, making sure that emails look great on any device. And so with a platform like Flowdesk, we make sure to do that for you. There's nothing you need to do on your end. So you just create one single email and it's going to look great on a phone, or if it's opened on desktop or a tablet. Okay, and so I'm going to share a sneak peek with you. This is the first time, we're saying this, or sharing this with anyone. So as a special treat for the Rising Tide community, we are launching new e-commerce layouts and templates next month, right before Black Friday, Cyber Monday, and the holiday sales season. And so this is what a couple of them look like, but they're new layouts that will go into your emails, and you'll be able to share a specific product that you have to offer, and just these really nice, clear buy now buttons. And it also has kind of the adjusted price as well. So if you're running a sale, this makes it really tempting. And we also saw in the stats earlier that people are looking for more testimonials. So they want to hear from other people like them how the product is helping them. So we're creating these new testimonial layouts as well. So these are just a couple of things you'll see, but then we're also creating new holiday sales email templates with these included. And that's going to be ready for you next month. All right, so we're kind of wrapping up here. And before we go, I just want to do a plug. We are launching out of beta for those of you who don't know. So if you haven't seen it, I just want to share this offer because it's an amazing deal. And I'm not just saying that because I work at Flowdesk, but you can get unlimited email marketing for the lifetime of your subscription, unlimited emails, subscribers, workflows, templates, all of that stuff for $19 a month. You just need to sign up by November 2nd with code BETA, and you're locked in for as long as your subscription is active. And that's it for the presentation part. If you'd like to connect, these are where you can find me or Flowdesk. And with that, I'm going to stop sharing my screen and open it back up to Kate.
Oh my goodness, that was so packed. I feel like everyone was probably taking so many notes. So thank you for a very informative, tactical, like what to do webinar. I think we all kind of need that direction right now. Yeah, Brittany's saying so many notes. I did capture a few questions from the chat and from the Q&A, but I did see Tabitha asked, is Flowdesk the same as Aweber?
We are not the same. Yeah, we are
Okay.
two different companies. And so you won't find the unlimited email marketing at Aweber, but you will on Flowdesk.
Okay. Just wanted to clarify that. And one thing that you covered at the end, before I hop into other people's questions, that I wrote down as a note, when you were talking about capturing convenience, it seems like the e-commerce templates are going to be a really great way to capture convenience for those who primarily sell online, where maybe they don't have that in-store experience. So would your recommendation be for someone who primarily sells online, not in person anywhere, to kind of have that like in-person experience through reviews and just a really clear CTA in emails? Is that?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I also think the convenience is make it really easy for someone to understand your offer. And I think those layouts will be really great for that. If you're prepping and priming your audience before the sale about who you are, so that they don't need to do the guesswork of like, who is this person again? Why am I on this email list? And they're getting those emails from you consistently, so that when it's time for the big sale, they can see that beautiful layout with the reduced price and the pretty big image of your product and know, okay, it's time for the sale. This is really convenient. I understand what I'm getting, and then click through to make that purchase.
Totally. One question that came in through the beginning was, how often should we be promoting our email list outside of like, having pop-ups on my website, but like what kind of cadence should I be using to continue to build my list? Is there like a standard of how often I should be sharing CTAs to sign up?
Mm-hmm. That's a great question. There's not like a single thing that works best across the board, but I think kind of like testing what works for your audience, I would say try once a week, just doing a post or a story, and see what happens and see if people are signing up for your list. If it starts to taper off, maybe you do it once every 2 weeks, but I think as long as it's like a gentle reminder, and if you're offering them something of value, like a freebie in return for their email, then I think you're not really hurting anybody.
Awesome. As far as the Apple update, you did give some really great alternative metrics to opens, and you mentioned establishing your own baseline. Is there somewhere where there's like a aggregated list of industry standard like baselines that we should be using, or is it better to establish our own baselines always and not really compare to like the broader scale? What's your take on that?
I think it's good to know kind of where your the industry baseline is. And I forget the name of who I usually use, but if you Google like email benchmarks, it'll come up as like one of the first results. But that's kind of just to know kind of like the scope of like how big your click-through rate could be. But I would say don't get discouraged if it's much bigger than what you have, because your audience is very unique to you. And so it's okay to be different. Like I've worked at big brands before where it was much lower than the industry average. And so you're really just competing against your own list, trying to send emails that you're continually optimizing to get better and better. You're not really trying to compete with like the broader benchmark of like everybody ever, but you're trying to improve your own little by little.
Awesome. And in that, Karina asked, is there a checkbox preference or like a survey block available to use in an email to collect information or just gather more feedback from current subscribers outside of the preference list?
We don't have a survey block, so you can encourage people to reply back to you, or you can encourage them to go to the preferences page. And so again, that's just in the footer, manage preferences, and there you can ask the question and have different options there.
Okay. And Karina, if you're still on, correct me if I am wrong in the intent behind the question, but I'm wondering if that's coming from a place of, should we be reaching out to our audience outside of like, the automated things like being able to update your preferences and asking for more specific feedback of like, hey, do you like, is there more that I can be doing? Do you have suggestions for content that maybe I haven't covered yet? Should we just be encouraging them to reply back, or is it appropriate to send them a survey occasionally to get more feedback there?
Yeah, I think always asking for replies back is good, but I think actually doing a survey is kind of like a more methodical way to do that. So you could do that once a quarter, or if that feels like too much, once every 6 months or once a year, and you can use like a type form or Google surveys to create that really quickly and get more of those detailed answers. And if you find that you're not getting a lot of responses, then you can always do like $5 Starbucks giveaway to all the survey respondents. Like that will do wonders. Like $5 Starbucks, people's like eyes light up and they'll like respond to your survey. So try that trick.
Awesome. We have quite a few Flowdesk specific questions, so I'll try to get through them all. I'm going to start with Penny, who asked about the light gray preview text. She said, Sabrina mentioned the light gray text next to the black bold subject line and the importance of using it. I am clueless. How should we be using this?
Great question. So it's kind of just another way to intrigue your audience and try to get them to open your email without being clickbait or anything like that. It's kind of just describing what they're going to find inside of your email. And so Brittany did a great job of that with her subject line, where she says, Instagram's been down all day. And then in her preview text, she says something like, are you stressing out? Or are you unbothered? And you're just like, oh, you know, I'm kind of stressing out. So I want to open this and see what she says. So it's kind of just growing that intrigue, kind of hinting at what's inside without giving away the whole enchilada.
I love that. And I'm not sure if you have this available. So we did get a couple questions about like comparison stats. And I know like anecdotally for me, what my stats improved switching to Flowdesk, but is there any type of comparison you can give on increased like open rates or click-through rates for someone who is looking at switching and moving to Flowdesk?
We don't have any like hard data, but we have heard so many times anecdotally when people switch over that their open rates and click-through rates increase. And that makes sense because we're a much easier tool to use to bring your messages to life, make them a little bit more visual, make them more on brand for your own business. And so when something looks beautiful and the message is easy to understand quickly, people are being more likely to be engaged, opening more of your emails to learn more about you and your business and clicking through. So we don't have any hard stats on that, but we hear it all the time.
I know. I mean, I have like a tiny list. There's maybe 100 people on it, but mine increased to between 30 to 50%, at least with open rates, which was really cool. So if you want to take that with a grain of salt from Kate at HoneyBook and Rising Tide for my tiny personal list, that's what I saw. We have a couple more very like tactical specific questions. The email sign up, we talked about, Flowdesk can host it, but you can host it on your own website. Could you explain a little bit more about the difference between the pages that Flowdesk hosts, and then if somebody were to embed it on their website?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so we have 3 different forms. We have the full page form, which Flowdesk hosts, and it generates a unique URL that you can use anywhere. So even though I have a website, you can go to my website to just check out the forms if you want. It's quietlikecourses.com. If you're on it for a little bit, you'll see the pop-up form. So that kind of like gets people attention if they've been on your website browsing for a little while. It reminds them to sign up for your list. It's quietlikecourses.com. And then you can have inline forms. So if you have a blog post or something like that, you can have a form on your website. So we have help center articles about how to set that all up. And then our customer support team at support@flowdesk.com can help you set that up as well. So those are great for if you have a website. Even though I have a website, I use the full page form as well because of that unique URL. And so if you go to my Instagram, Quite Like Courses on Instagram, and go to my link in bio, you can see how I use those links to host those full page forms. And so so the website forms are great for when people are on your website, but when people are on your social media channels, I use the full page form links to convert social media followers and people who are just interested there.
Awesome. Does Flowdesk have sales funnels and email sequences available at this time?
We have, it depends because people use funnels and like they define them differently.
Yeah.
But we do have workflows and you can do sales funnels that way. So our workflows are basically automated email sequences that you can create. And so you could use that for if you're launching a product or you have a sales flow you want people to go through. We do have those.
Okay.
Okay.
Awesome. Oh yeah, she says that's what I meant. And then is there a WordPress plugin? That's a question from Sarah.
We don't have a direct plugin, but there might be something available through Savvier.
Okay. And do you have A/B testing for emails?
Great question.
These are a lot of tactical questions. I'm sorry.
No, I love it. This group is so advanced. I love this. We don't have A/B testing built into the product. It's something that, we use our own product when we send out emails to our audience. And so we do A/B testing. So it's possible, I do it. I just set up 2 different sends, but hopefully I'm hoping that will be on the roadmap for the future to make it a lot easier to A/B test.
And I'll plug like your feature request form. If you're in the Flowdesk community and Petra's in there, she will, she's amazing, by the way. She'll direct you to the feature request. So if you are using Flowdesk or you want to use Flowdesk, they have excellent customer service and they can direct you over to the feature request. And I know you all are working on stuff all the time. And I know we've had a few more advanced questions, but for someone who is brand new to email marketing, just learning, I'm going to plug Flowdesk University a little bit here. Can you tell us a little bit about the resources available through Flowdesk for someone who's just getting started or who really wants to dive deeper in how to level up their email marketing and do so in a very user-friendly way?
Yeah, I love your plug for Flowdesk University. That's what I was going to say too. So if you go to flowdesk.com and then in the top now, you'll find a Flowdesk University. So those are very, I think it's university.flowdesk.com. Those are very short, very impactful videos from other small business owners in our Flowdesk community, talking about how to get started, growing your list, how to create a freebie so that people want to join your list, how to set up your forms. And then, we have more advanced strategies like how to use workflows, how to set up those sales sequences. So whether you're just a beginner or you want to get more strategic, there's all those videos there for you. And they're very short and very easy to understand. So check that out.
Awesome. And then Renee asked, how long has Flowdesk been around? I know you're about to leave beta, so tell us a little bit more.
We launched, I think in August 2019. So we're 2 years old. 2 years old, launching out of beta. So what that means for us is that, we're here to stay, but our beta pricing isn't. So we're committed, we're here. Yes.
Oh my goodness, amazing. Congratulations on just tremendous impact in 2 years. And I know Christy said in the chat here, I use Flowdesk for my Rising Tide chapter. I don't use it for my business yet. Yeah, you need to change, Christy. But I have to say it's way easier to go into Flowdesk and send an email compared to other platforms I've used. And I'll definitely agree with that. You all have made email marketing so easy for folks who maybe were a little scared to get started. So that's my plug there. And then, sorry, Jessica, since we just have a little bit more time, if there's more questions coming in, I'll pull them. How easy is it to add people to a workflow if you already started it in Flowdesk, if it's live?
I want to say it's really easy, but Petra is our workflow queen. So if you ask in the insiders group, she'll be able to tell you, but I believe you can add people at any time. So our workflows are triggered by when someone is added to a segment. So you would just go in and add additional people to a segment, and that would trigger the workflow. So it should be very, very easy.
I'm going to link to the insiders group too for anyone who's not in there yet.
Love
Yeah, and Petra, I hope your ears are burning if you're not on this call. You are amazing. Could you talk a little bit more about the limitations with videos and email, and how that works with pulling in the Vimeo and YouTube?
Cool. Yeah, so it's not possible on any email provider to add a video directly into an email. So that technology just is impossible for any email provider to use, whether you use MailChimp, Constant Contact, ConvertKit, Flowdesk, whatever. So kind of like what happens with Flowdesk is we make it really easy to point people to your video, where it's hosted on YouTube or Vimeo. You just add a block and you link your URL where it's hosted, and you can change the caption on the video, what it's talking about, and it has like this really nice, very clear play sign. So when people get your email, they understand, oh, this is a video. I'm going to click that, and they're pushed to where the video is hosted. So it's very, very easy to add that.
Awesome. Thank you for explaining that more. And then Christy has another question that I think is really great. She says, I'm struggling to stay consistent with email marketing. I do have a hard time getting my content out there because of self-doubt, imposter syndrome, all of that jazz. Do you have any advice on how to come up with topics to write about to make it easier?
Yes. Well, first of all, I just want to address the self-doubt, imposter syndrome. Yeah, we've all been there. And just want to encourage you to think about those stats about your customers and how they want to hear from you. They want that interesting, engaging, relevant content. And so kind of for me, I just think about like, what are the questions people often are asking that I hear about on Instagram or when I'm on client calls? What are people asking? And then turning that into content. Or your own experiences, right? And so Christy, I don't know what you do, but if you could talk about like your own personal story about maybe how you're struggling with that and how you overcome that, or how you've helped other people overcome that, weaving in stories that how you've helped people, stories of how you've transformed or you've changed, or how you came up with a product idea. Yeah, and so success stories of how people have used your product. Yeah, so FAQs, success stories, and then like personal stories that your audience could relate to. I would recommend.
That's super helpful. Thank you, Sabrina. Hopefully that helps, Christy. We have a couple minutes left, so I think we have time for maybe one more question. If there's any burning last question you want to ask Sabrina live, I'll give you a minute here in the chat. But while we wait, could you let us know where to find you? I'll drop the links into the chat, but for anyone who maybe wants to connect with you or who wants to learn more, there's quite a few places where we can get connected with you or with Flowdesk. So could you let us know how to do that?
Yes. So you can find me on Instagram, quietlikehorses.com, or quietlikehorses.com. Wait, Quiet Like Horses on Instagram is my Instagram. Quietlikehorses.com is my website. And there, I just encourage you, even if you don't want to follow me, that's fine. But you can go check out how to use forms. If you sign up for a form, you will get my workflow of automated emails. And so you can kind of see how I start to nurture people, how I start to explain who I am and how I can help people. And so you can, just use that as a learning on how to provide educational, informative content. And then you can unsubscribe. You won't hurt my feelings. You can just use this as like a learning experience. And then flowdesk.com is how you find us on the web. Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, so I just dropped the links into the chat, but we did have a couple last minute questions come through. So if you're okay, we'll ask those. And this is a good one. I feel like I've seen this a lot in the Flowdesk Insiders group. Do you find that using images and the image blocks in email campaigns hurt open rates at all?
We don't see that it hurts open rates, but we recommend that you use a mix of text and images. So if your image is just all images, then that's not great just for deliverability and everything. And as a reminder, when you send an email with layout blocks, those actually convert into images. So those count as images. So make sure you're putting in some text blocks with text in it as well. And it's just nicer. Like if you can just imagine getting an email from a brand that's image, 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 like what are they asking you to do? Like what is the content about, right? And so it's always good to have a mix of like visual and then text kind of explaining what they're sharing with you.
That's super helpful. And content best practices anyway, right? We all are a little bit different between visual and reading. So if you could mix it up, that's great. And then Rebecca asked, and I know you covered this a little bit, could you review the tips to improve click-through rates, especially with the Apple iOS 15 changes, like in a quick 1-minute summary of what to look for?
Improving click-through rates. I think it's about making your email really digestible. And so not making it too long, unless your audience likes that. So test that. If you're like, I've seen some influencers, educators who just write a lot of text and they have one CT at the bottom. So if you're finding that your audience clicks through, you're getting your baseline, your average, and you see that, hey, this is performing pretty well, keep doing that, right? So everyone has a different audience. But in general, I would say the emails that get a lot of click-throughs are a mix of images and text. They usually have like a headline, a nice layout with an image, and very clear CTAs. So adding those CTA buttons in as well.
That's super helpful. And we love to ask this at the end, but if we walk away with anything today, any just like tip or takeaway, what do you want us to leave today's call with? Whether it's just a single tip or just encouragement for someone who is working on their email marketing, what do you want us to walk away with?
I want people to walk away with just keep trying. So keep trying, keep building your email list, keep promoting your form so that people sign up, and then try to be consistent. So trying to send out a newsletter at least once a month, I would say is a good target. So that you're top of mind, you're building that know, like, trust factor with your audience, and it's just going to help you in your business.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Sabrina. I feel like we all learned so much and are walking away with just incredible knowledge. So thank you for taking time out of your day to share with us. And again, Sabrina's links are in the chat, and we will be emailing out a replay later today. So thank you so much. And thank you everyone for joining.
Thank you.
Bye.